Well, I think Shakespeare said it better than I. If you read Sonnet 146, Shakespeare says, poor soul. And so Shakespeare is saying the basic idea is that there are tragedies in our lives because we don't take a look at where the origin of the problem is, and it's always in self. So the tragedy being in life is that we're clueless and we repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And so when I work at, for example, when I worked at Hawaii State Hospital, working with people killed, raped, and murdered people, I had to ask the question, what is going on in me that I am experiencing this? I'm experiencing a patient being violent, I'm experiencing staff going crazy, that sort of stuff. And so having to take 100% responsibility for that. What's going on in me that I'm creating this experience? And so I just do this cleaning, and the cleaning, the Ho'oponopono is about going into the self, and specifically into the subconscious, and where the data is, and since everything is run by information, so the information in my subconscious is dictating to me what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing. It's like in Shakespeare's Tempest, where Miranda says, oh, woe is me to see what I see. So Miranda has this insight that she's only seeing with data. And so it is with me, and so it is with all of you. And so I just work on the data in me that I experience as, quotes, the other person. So if I see you as being crazy and goofy, it's only my experience of you. If I erase that, you can't be that way. Not possible. And so that's what I mean to be 100% responsible. Being 100% responsible is taking responsibility for what is going on in you that you experience of whatever. The perception is really a end product or consequence of data playing in the subconscious. So again, coming back to Miranda is saying, I only can see what I see because the data is seeing what I see. So Miranda is really speaking what Shakespeare says, the mind is just a stage, and the data runs around on the stage, and the data is really what is going on. And so if the data is such that I'm experiencing suffering, or I'm experiencing people being goofy, then I have to be responsible for that. What's going on in me, and it's simply data playing, and more specifically memories replaying in the subconscious. And those can be erased. Mm-hmm. I think that is probably the most profound thing about this Ho'oponopono, is that you could erase data. But the idea is the most fundamental question one needs to know is the question, who am I? And most people have no idea about who they are, and therefore are not allow the data in them to speak for them, as opposed to choosing to not have the data by erasing it. And so it's coming back to great sages like Jesus. Jesus said, love your enemies, and your only enemy is the memory replaying that you experience as the judgments, anger, resentment, hate, annoyance. And so the Ho'oponopono is about falling in love with the data and saying to the anger, I love it, saying to the memory that replays the anger, I love you, thank you for showing up, and giving you one more chance to free you. And so the Ho'oponopono is just simply saying, I love you, thank you. So let me come back at you. So I would ask you, who's talking? Who's asking the question?
Well, that would be the data, because the other part of me would know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, since the data is talking, you can erase the data. So I'm saying to people, no matter if you have questions, you'll never be able to get at what is going on, because the data is running you. And the idea is to get to see, we historically have come from this notion that you can decode things. So the Greeks come along, and Greeks said, well, let's examine, let's analyze. But the Ho'oponopono is not about examining or analyzing. Ho'oponopono is about letting go of the data. So when the data is erased, you are what Buddha called in the space of void, or what Shakespeare calls you're in the state of blank. And it is when you are in that state of emptiness, void, and blank, then this inspiration comes through. What quantum physics called the phantom force of nothing. One has to be as precise as possible.
No thought? No words?
No, not no thought, no data plane. So what does that mean to have no data free? That means you're free. You're absolutely free when no data plays. And it's only at freedom, or I'll use another word, clarity. Clarity is defined as no data playing. No data meaning no memory replaying in the subconscious that one experiences. So let's say you get the mind back to zero. It's what Jesus called the stone or the foundation. And only on that foundation then can you build something. And then out of that foundation comes the inspiration. And so you are moved by perfect information as opposed to being using dead information. But most of the time we're dead. Because we without realizing, we're stuck in old data and we're dead. And the Ho'oponopono is about releasing the death and the debt. So we basically have a mortgage on our souls, and we don't even know that. And because we're not conscious of it or not even aware of it, we're stuck in it, and we're just going to suffer. And it doesn't have to be so. But you can erase the data back to zero, and at zero, out of nothing comes this phantom force of inspiration. New data, brand new.